Spoštovane gledalke in gledalci, pozdravljeni v oddaji Teden v EU. Govora bo o aktualni begunski krizi ter o odprtih vprašanjih povezanih s to temo. Dotaknili se bomo ostre in drzne politike ameriškega predsednika. Sporočamo vam tudi različne novosti preteklega tedna Evropske unije ter o tem, kako si Evropski parlament in različne nevladne organizacije prizadevajo za enakost med spoloma. Čisto za konec pa boste izvedeli, kako je napredovala robotska tehnologija in katero temeljno vprašanje odpira. Ostanite v naši družbi. Begunska kriza izpostavlja različna mnenja držav članic o migracijah. Evropska unija skuša doseči pošteno porazdelitev beguncev po Evropi. Migracije so pomembne za gospodarsko prihodnost Evropske unije. Vprašajte na primer mehiško migrantko Montserrat, ki je s pomočjo sheme modre karte Evropske unije prišla delat v Nemčijo.
The European response to the plight of refugees has shaken the EU to its foundations, throwing its core values into question. Because of their geographic location at the Union's outer edge, a few EU countries have to deal with most of the arrivals, but other member states have seemed reluctant to show solidarity. Improving this situation is a priority for the European Union in 2017. That is why the European Parliament is pushing hard to reform the EU's common European asylum system in order to improve the examination process of thousands of applications for internal protection and to define better standards for reception of refugees across Europe. The EU aims to achieve a fairer distribution of asylum seekers amongst member states while ensuring people fleeing wars and conflicts have the right to internal protection. The EU is also working to develop more coherent rules to process asylum claims and set uniform standards to recognise the status and rights of refugees. But migration is not just a question of providing refuge for the persecuted. It also helps to secure the EU's economic future. According to the latest figures, EU member states are facing employment shortages in a number of key sectors. By 2020, the EU is set to face a shortfall of 1 million workers in the health sector, while 756,000 vacancies remain unfilled in the field of information and communication technologies. That is why some EU countries, like Germany, are increasingly using the Blue Card scheme adopted by the European Parliament in 2008. Between 2012 and 2014, Germany issued 26,272 of these work and residence permits that allow highly qualified non-EU nationals to take up job offers from EU employers. Montserrat is Mexican and lives in Germany. She came to the EU under the Blue Card scheme.
I study engineering, mechatronics engineer in Mexico. And in my last year of studies, I decided that I want to travel around the world. I feel really lucky being here. I mean, to have this chance to improve our quality of life, to improve our professional skills, to be in a first world country.
The Blue Card system represents a step in the right direction, but could be improved, and MEPs are examining ways of updating it as part of a wider reform of the EU's migration rules.
Evropski parlament je ostro obsodil izvršni ukaz ameriškega predsednika, ki začasno prepoveduje vstop državljanom 7 muslimanskih držav v ZDA.
It grabbed headlines, sparked polarizing debates and caused a stir at home and all the way across the Atlantic. The new American president's executive order temporarily banning travelers from 7 Muslim-majority countries from entering the US has raised serious concerns in the EU.
No one can be deprived of his or her own rights because of their place of birth, their religion, or their ethnicity. And I'm worried by the trends we're seeing inside the American societies in these days.
With political rhetoric already causing deep social divides, MEPs did not hold back on their criticisms, expressing worry that the US ban further fuels xenophobic sentiment.
Amerika ist eigentlich das Land der Freiheit. USA ist eigentlich das Land der Einwanderer. Und jetzt Generalverdacht für einzelne Staaten, Generalverdacht für einzelne Religionsgemeinschaften. Das führt nicht zu Freundschaft, zu Abbau von Hass, das führt zu neuem Hass.
È una bugia demagogica. Si fa il ban per alcuni e per altri no. con i quali Trump fa affari.
Since 1975, no American has been killed on US soil by a national from any of the 7 countries listed in President Trump's executive order.
Trump's maneuvers have struck a chord as lawmakers find themselves on the same page, defending Europe's core values.
We can do one thing, that is unite us, fight back as the European Union. It is not because he is elected that he can go against human values.
5 točk, ki si jih gre zapomniti po tem tednu v Bruslju, so cene gostovanja za mobilne klice znotraj Evropske unije, prepoved vstopa v ZDA, Erasmus+, pravice na področju posvojitev, politika Evropske unije za Arktiko.
The cap on wholesale charges for voice calls in the EU under a deal struck between Parliament negotiators and Member States. From June 15th, Europeans travelling abroad can use their phones without extra charges. The number of countries targeted by the US travel ban signed by President Trump. EU lawmakers denounced the measure, which they say goes against core values. The Erasmus student exchange programme is 30 years old. With Erasmus+, MEPs want to extend it to benefit all young people, not just university students. There are as many legal systems for child adoption as there are EU countries. MEPs want to close loopholes to protect children and their parents across the EU. The amount of sea ice that disappeared in the last 35 Arctic summers, MEPs are worried the big melt will damage the planet's ecosystem.
Evropska unija je šele na pol poti, da doseže enakost med spoloma. Napredek je počasen, z le manjšimi izboljšavami v zadnjem desetletju. Evropski poslanci si prizadevajo za nabor ukrepov, da bi se razlike med spoloma vendarle odpravile.
Come retirement age, many look forward to enjoying the fruits of years of hard work. But if you're a female pensioner in Europe, you could fall short of your financial needs in old age. Women get 40% less pension than their male counterparts. This is only one of many areas where inequality between men and women stubbornly exists.
We should take gender issues very seriously. Has not been the case in the last years, I believe, because due to the crisis, the gender for gender equality has been downgraded.
On average, more women in the EU complete tertiary education than men, but they still make less money. In the boardroom of big publicly listed companies, less than a quarter are women. The higher up the corporate structure, the lower the figure. While almost 2/3 of women are employed, a third work part-time, almost half of whom do so because of family and care-related reasons. The EU Parliament wants to speed up progress in closing the gap.
We need to move forward the agenda for the maternity and paternity leave. We want a binding instrument against gender violence. We need the gender equality back at the top of the political agenda at EU level.
If no significant changes are made, it would take Europe 70 years before equal pay is achieved, 40 years before housework is equally shared, and 20 years before gender balance in politics is achieved.
Kakšne pravne pravice naj bi imel robot? Polo Sant'Anna Valdera je eden vodilnih raziskovalnih centrov za robotiko. Njegovo osebje ugotavlja, da je s tehnološkim napredkom to vprašanje čedalje pomembnejše. Z inovacijami se porajajo nova pravna in etična vprašanja. Evropski parlament jih želi obravnavati, da bi se robotika uspešno razvijala tudi v letu 2017.
From industrial robots to medical equipment, drones, toys or domestic appliances, robotics and artificial intelligence are increasingly becoming a part of our daily life. The European Parliament is the first institution in the world trying to legislate on legal and ethical issues related to artificial intelligence.
Il y a une révolution en marche puisque déjà il y a beaucoup de robots, il y en aura beaucoup à l'avenir et ils seront présents dans tous les domaines de la vie. J'ai réussi à convaincre la commission juridique de créer un groupe de travail pour justement s'occuper des implications juridiques mais aussi éthiques que la robotique aurait sur nos sociétés.
In Pisa, the Sant'Anna Institute, an important centre for robotics, is part of the European project RoboLaw. Here, researchers are studying the question of robots' liability and other legal aspects. For them, the interest of the European Parliament in such issues is positive and paves the way for a new approach towards robotics, even if the task is complicated.
La robotica è un mondo estremamente vasto, quindi che un approccio troppo generale rischia di non arrivare al cuore dei problemi.
Andrea Bertolini is an expert in private law. For him, robots are not like any other product, though current laws are applied to them.
Those laws were developed having different kinds of devices in mind, so the solutions they bring about may not be the best solutions when it comes to robotics.
In case of an accident caused by a robot, a driverless car for example, who is liable?
En principe, le chauffeur n'a plus de responsabilité, donc se pose la question qui va porter l'assurance.
Is it the producer? Is it the programmer? Is it the user? That is a very complicated and expensive question to answer. It makes much more sense to hold liable the party that is best placed to minimize that cost and minimize that risk. This is what I call a risk management approach. In that scenario, I or the producer could purchase insurance covering all costs associated with that liability.
Not only are more and more autonomous robots getting closer to the market, but in laboratories, engineers are designing robots with the capacity to learn from their environment, their experience, and to take independent decisions.
Prendi la bottiglia, per favore.
Dans ce cas-là, se pose la question, est-ce que c'est toujours le programmeur qui est responsable de l'action puisque l'environnement a une influence sur le robot?
For the European Parliament, a possible answer might be to give that category of robots an e-personality.
Electronic personhood means treating robots as corporations, so a legal entity that has some rights and obligations that are purely instrumental to pursue a specific economic interest of a human being.
Another major concern for the European Parliament is the ethical issues raised by robotics, not least the dependency relationship that might develop between a human and a robot, in particular in the case of vulnerable people.
Bisogna essere attenti a non indurre persone vulnerabili a credere che il robot sta effettivamente avendo delle emozioni che come macchina non può avere.
Finally, could legislating on all these issues hamper innovation?
Al contrario, potrà rappresentare un volano per la crescita in questo settore, perché la certezza giuridica favorisce la ricerca e anche lo sviluppo industriale.
Developing standards is of strategic relevance because those standards will emerge. They might become American standards, they might be international standards. If they are European standards, it's clear that European industries will be at an advantage.
Nous sommes à un bon moment puisque les États membres n'ont pas encore fait de législation, donc nous pourrons créer un cadre et les États membres pourront s'en inspirer pour avoir les règles qui s'appliquent dans toute l'Union européenne.
Teden hitro mine in tako je konec tudi naše oddaje. Lep preostanek dneva vam želim ter hvala za vašo pozornost.